I'm going to show you today 4 of the most common mistakes I see my students making with their backhand topspin, and you might be making them too. I'm going to show you exactly how to avoid them and to fix them. If you don't know who I am, my name is Kush Baveja. I first got into the state team after just 1 year of training, and since then I've been coaching for about 3 years, both in person and online. Now that being said, let's get into the first mistake. Now this is most common amongst people that haven't got structured coaching from the very beginning of their career. The problem is that they rely solely on their arm movements. They completely neglect the use of the body and the hips and the core. The problem with that is that you get a stiff and disconnected motion. It makes it very difficult to generate any actual power or consistency later on. And I know you've heard lots of coaches online, in person talk about this, but on the backhand, I don't believe that it has to be that hard. On the forehand, it's a big action. You're trying to do a lot and generate power that way. But on the backhand, I believe that a tiny movement with your body can create lots of returns. And I mean returns in the form of benefits, not literal returns. But here's the thing, all you have to do is shift your weight from your left leg, assuming you're a right-hander, from your left leg to your right leg. It doesn't need to be a massive movement, and you need to turn your torso a little bit to the right like this. With such a short and compact stroke, such as the backhand topspin, you don't need a massive motion, because that's just going to slow down your recovery and it's not going to help you. Look, if you can get your power from your body and legs and just coil a little bit before you play, you're going to see your shot become way more powerful and way more consistent. Now the second mistake that my students make a ton is always screwing up their racket angles. So often they tend to have the wrong racket angle when they're playing the backhand. If it's too open, the ball flies way long off the end of the table, and if it's too close, it just flies straight into the net. And this is the thing, you need to be able to adjust your racket angle mid-rally. If you have a static racket angle during a rally, it's not going to work. You have to adjust to each different ball as it comes. And the solution that applies to everyone is to use a slightly closed racket angle for your topspin loops while maintaining the ability to adjust your angle a little bit. The balls that are going to come at you are going to vary in spin, and you need to adjust your racket angle to match the spin profile of the ball. If you're just doing backhand counter hitting, your racket angle doesn't need to be too close. You're not working with much topspin here. Now, whereas if you push the ball long, your opponent does a loop against the backspin, you're going to have to cover the angle of your racket a lot more to counteract that topspin. If you use the same open face, the ball is going to fly off the end of the table. So that is why you need to adjust to different levels of topspin as you play with your backhand. Now the third extremely notorious mistake that I see with a lot of my players is just poking at the ball, having a very rigid follow through. If when you're playing your backhand topspin, you stop the follow through prematurely, it reduces your spin and speed a lot. Instead of contacting the ball and then immediately coming to a halt, you want to follow through fully and then come back to your ready position for the next backhand. This is going to allow you to swiftly return to your ready position. If you can avoid poking at the ball and ending your stroke prematurely, you're also going to generate a lot more power. So make sure when you're playing your backhand topspins, you have a complete follow through. Make sure your hand is relatively loose. Don't be too stiff or too rigid, and don't stop your follow through. Now the fourth mistake can actually be really detrimental. I see so many players getting extremely frustrated, wondering why they can't generate power with their backhands. And the issue is that they're playing their backhand from so far in front of their body. Their contact is so far in front of them, and this is really bad for power generation. And here's the thing, this often stems from inadequate footwork. If your footwork isn't good enough, you're not going to move in and out to the backhand on time. Because here's the thing, right? Different balls that come to you, that come to your backhand, they're going to have different amounts of weight. So one ball might bounce on your side here and then drop over here. And the next ball might bounce on your side here and drop all the way over here. This happens because there's a variance in the amount of speed. And if you play the ball that drops short, from way back here, reaching, you're going to lose a lot of power. So it's important to use your footwork to go to the backhand and step back for the right backhand as well. Now you want to make sure that your racket is close to your body as you play your backhand. You want to start your stroke sort of at your stomach and go like this. Sometimes when we're rallying, we like to maintain our rhythm, and that sometimes forces us to play the ball a little bit earlier. What I like to do is remind myself, this is the golden zone. You want to let the ball come to your stomach and then release and play the shot. So those are the 4 mistakes that are very common. I see amongst a lot of my students from beginner to intermediate. I'm going to assume that a lot of you have similar mistakes because they're just so common. And if you can follow what I said in this video, you're going to be able to avoid the mistakes and fix the mistakes if they happen to you. So that is it for the video. But if you want to work with me, you want coaching, you want drills, you want courses to improve your backhand specifically, check out the top link in the description. That's going to take you to Table Tennis United. But that being said, that is the end of the video, and I'll see you in the next one.